Did you know that there are countries around the world that would offer you their citizenship and passport in exchange for an investment? There are exactly 10 countries around the world that have a citizenship by investment program. We're gonna go through every single one, and should you go for any of them, let's find out. The first country on this list is St. Kitts and Nevis, where I'm a proud citizen. They used to give their citizenship for an investment of 150,000 US dollars. Then they changed it to 125,000 US dollars. And now it's a whopping 250,000 US dollars due to pressure from the European Union. We as St. Kitts citizens have access to the Schengen area, therefore Europe has a lot of power over the country, and they've made a lot of new requirements, a lot of new restrictions, increase in prices, overall more due diligence, more checks into the program. Personally, I don't really think St. Kitts citizenship is worth it at 250,000 US dollars. That is why I haven't promoted it since the change. That is why I've given you more alternatives. If they drop the price again to 150,000 or 100,000 or even 175,000, I would see it being worth it. You have access to over 140 countries around the world. They are 2 beautiful islands, and it's a passport that by now a lot of people know. A lot of governments are aware of St. Kitts citizenship. You can open a bank account or a crypto exchange with a St. Kitts passport. Overall, it's going to open a lot of doors, but at double the price that it was a couple of months ago. Just like St. Kitts and Nevis, the next couple of programs are all in the Caribbean. They're all different Caribbean islands and Caribbean countries that have very similar visa-free travel with their passport. For example, with one passport, you can go to Russia visa-free. With another passport, you can go to Chile visa-free. But pretty much they're all the same. You can go to the Schengen area, you can go to the UK, although Dominica, which is one country that I'm going to mention now, just lost access to the UK. Dominica, a beautiful island. Their passport is one of the passports that gets the most applications. I've seen many people in airports around the world, a lot of our clients, a lot of people opening bank accounts all over the world with Dominica passport. It is extremely popular. Their due diligence is slightly less than what a St. Kitts due diligence is, although now, because of what I mentioned with the European Union, with the Schengen area, putting more pressure on them, putting more requirements on them losing UK visa-free access, you have a lot more due diligence and a lot more processing that you need to be aware of, but it is 100,000 US dollars. So you are saving $150,000 by getting pretty much the same passport, although Dominica has a risk of losing access to the Schengen area. St. Kitts, I see it as having less risk than Dominica of losing that access. You do pay significantly less for that passport. The next citizenship at also 100,000 US dollars is St. Lucia. St. Lucia is actually a very beautiful island. The nature is incredible, and they pretty much have the same visa-free access that Dominica or St. Kitts. You can take in or out a couple of countries, and for only 100,000 US dollars, you could become a citizen of the beautiful St. Lucia. They also have a government bonds program of 300,000 US dollars. They don't bear any interest, but you can take them out after 5 years, and you essentially get a passport for free, minus the fees, minus the lawyer fees, due diligence, and so on. Obviously, due diligence in the Caribbean, as I mentioned, with the Schengen area putting a lot of pressure into the Caribbean islands, they are increasing their due diligence, and I see the fees going up. With inflation, the dollar is losing power, so obviously these prices are going to continue to increase in the future. For now, you can become a St. Lucian citizen for 100,000 US dollars or $300,000 government bond investment. The next country also in the Caribbean is Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua and Barbuda has a very interesting travel map. For example, Antigua has visa-free access to South Africa, and that's important for you, and all other Caribbean islands don't have access visa-free to South Africa. They pretty much have the same visa-free travel as St. Kitts with the Schengen area, with the UK, maybe you lose it in the future with Russia, and other countries that might be of interest to you. It's also 100,000 US dollars, but there is a fee of 30,000 US dollars. So really, the donation is 130,000 US dollars plus the due diligence, plus the lawyer fees, plus other fees that you need to pay. In the process, you're essentially getting the same visa-free travel as a St. Kitts passport, although I see St. Kitts again having less risk of losing Schengen area, of losing UK, than Antigua or Dominica or all these other programs. Important to note is that Antigua and Barbuda, as well as St. Kitts, are tax-free countries. So if you become an Antiguan citizen or a St. Kitts citizen and you actually want to go live in your country, then you will not pay any tax, personal tax, corporate tax, capital gains, absolutely anything. And all of these countries have a mutual agreement that you can go and live in any of the other countries. So me, as a St. Kitts citizen, can go live in Dominica or Antigua or any of these other Caribbean islands if I decide to do so, just like Europeans can go live in another European country. The next country, again in the Caribbean, is Grenada, the Spice Island. This was a famous program because you could get an E2 visa into the United States and get access to the US easily through their E2 treaty, because a lot of countries around the world don't have E2 treaties, and Grenada has it. The problem is that because the United States saw, wait, a lot of undesirable nationalities are getting Grenada citizenship and then they're getting access to the United States through the E2 treaty, let's make them live in Grenada for 3 years. So now you actually need to live in Grenada for 3 years in order to be eligible to get that E2 visa. So essentially this renders the program, the E2 program, useless because nobody's actually going to live in Grenada for 3 years after getting the passport. They're pretty much, again, the same visa-free travel as other Caribbean countries, and it's a $150,000 donation. The next country, which is my particular favorite, I absolutely love this country, and I would like to become a citizen in the next couple of years when I have a little bit more net worth, is Malta. Malta is an amazing, stunning European country in the Mediterranean, and they do offer their citizenship for roughly 1 million, 1.1 million US dollars, depending on the fluctuation of euro to US conversion. Malta is a very serious country. They check your due diligence to the detail. Every single thing that you've done in your life, if you opened a bank account 10 years ago and you forgot about it, they will find out about it. If you committed a crime 15, 20 years ago, you didn't tell anybody about it, they will find out about it. They are in the European Union. It is pretty much the best passport out of all of this that you can get, that you can travel to the US visa free, you can travel to Australia visa free, you can live anywhere in the European Union. Essentially one of the best passports in the world. You're getting it around 1.5 years, 2 years sometimes, maybe even a little bit longer, and you're investing that million or 1.1 million, I should say donate, because you're not really investing it, you're not getting it back, but you're also going through massive due diligence and a lot of time spent in the country. This isn't like the other Caribbean countries where you can just invest the money and never actually spend significant amount of time in the island or in the country. In Malta, they will require you to spend a significant amount of time to truly build ties to the country so that you are worth of their citizenship. Now, staying in Europe, there is a secret citizenship by investment program that Austria offers. Austria, obviously, in the European Union, very famous country, very historical place, also has access to pretty much any country around the world that you might want to go to. They do have an exceptional citizenship program where you can invest roughly, nobody really knows the numbers, nobody knows how many people have become citizens, nobody knows who has become citizens, because they don't publish any of this data. You'll invest around 3 to 4 million euros, around 3 point something, 4 point something million US dollars, maybe even more, into the economy. You provide jobs, you start a business, you invest a significant amount of money in the country, and in 1 year or 1.5 years, you could become an Austrian citizen. Obviously, since it's an exceptional citizenship program, you do need to have an extremely clean criminal record, an extremely good profile, and your whole family needs to truly build ties to Austria and show that you are worthy of their citizenship. The next country, an extremely popular country that has naturalized thousands of citizens by investment, is Turkey. Beautiful Turkey. I've been to Turkey many times, and I do look forward to doing the Turkish citizenship by investment program, although I don't recommend it to be your only passport. For example, if you're a US citizen, you plan on renouncing US citizenship, I wouldn't renounce US citizenship on a Turkish passport, because it is still seen as a low quality passport, even though you have great visa-free access around the world. You have Japan, Korea, South Africa, all of Latin America, essentially, even here in Mexico, you have Thailand. You essentially have many countries that are not part of the West. You don't have the Schengen area, you don't have the UK, you don't have US, Canada, and so on, but you do have a travel document and a big country that you can live in. You can buy real estate. That's how you essentially get the citizenship. It's a 400,000 investment into real estate. You can then sell that real estate later on, or live in that real estate, or rent it out on Airbnb. Essentially, you can do whatever you like with that real estate. Now they're getting more and more and more applications. They're thinking of increasing the price. They're thinking of making it harder to get that citizenship, just because thousands of people all over the world, including Russians, Iranians, and pretty much any nationality that you can imagine, have become Turkish citizens. The processing time for Turkish citizenship by investment is around 3 to 4 months. So you can also get one of the fastest programs around the world, because Caribbean citizenships typically take between 5 or 6 months. And just like I mentioned with Grenada, Turkey is also part of the E2 visa treaty, but you again need to live in Turkey for at least 3 years, although that is more feasible for pretty much anyone than it is to live in Grenada. So if you go live in Istanbul or in Bodrum or any of the beautiful beach towns that Turkey has, That's more doable for 3 years than it is to live in Grenada. The next country on this list is North Macedonia, right next to one country that I absolutely love, which is Serbia. You can also get Serbian citizenship and residency and so on. North Macedonia has a program where you invest 200,000 euros into a fund and then you get citizenship in a couple of months. The problem is that they haven't actually published who has become a citizen. I've been talking about this program for over a year, and we still don't have data on who became a citizen, how many people became a citizen, if you can actually even become a citizen of North Macedonia. You have access to the Schengen area. You pretty much have the same visa-free access as a Caribbean passport, maybe a little bit less risky, maybe a little bit more chance to continue with that access, that Schengen area access, or that access to those countries, whereas the Caribbean is losing that access. North Macedonia is less likely to lose that visa-free access. You're investing 200,000 euros into something that you don't even know if you're actually going to get the passport later on. That is why I haven't done this program, and I don't recommend anybody do it yet. And the last country on this list, you might laugh, you might think it's a stupid program. It does work for a certain kind of people, is the Egyptian Citizenship by Investment Program. If you invest $250,000, I should say donate, because you don't get the investment back. You donate it to the government. You have access to around 70 countries around the world. This is not a program for most people, but for people that want to actually have investments in Egypt, or you want to get access to that market. It's a massive country, a massive market. It's still developing, and if you want to have access to it while being a citizen, then this could potentially work for you, although I don't recommend it to 99.9% of people. Apart from these 10 countries, there are more countries around the world that you can become a citizen by contributing to the country, by investing in the country, but I don't have time to say them in this video. If you want to find out about those countries, click that link in the description, book a one-on-one call with me and the Wealthy Expat team. We're happy to explain all the options available. And if you want to see the best citizenships and passports that I recommend in this world of more restrictions, more regulations, more government control, check out the video right here on the best citizenships in a new world order that you can start getting right now to ensure your freedom and protection. Check it out right here.